What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the G Show podcast. I am G1, and this is the Geek Out episode 4. We got a lot to talk about. Crazy things came out this week. A lot dropped Saturday. When I had put the notes together, and then shit just dropped. So we shuffled things, changed things around, ready to rock and roll. Let's get down. Let me introduce you to my co-hosts. Joining me for the 4th time. I'm loving it. He's loving it. Chris C. Monty, what's up, my brother?
What's going on? What's going on?
Ready to rock and roll, man?
Absolutely. What's up, G-Show World?
Yes, sir. And again, once again, birthday boy coming off a birthday weekend. Happy birthday to my man G95. Matt, what's going on, bro?
It's been an eventful weekend, to say the least, but good morning, G-Show Land.
Happy birthday, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, well, listen, let's get right into this thing, man. I'm gonna start off with something me and Chris was talking about. We had a little conversation earlier this week about this, and it was a friendly little brouhaha. And that's, look, the Fate of the Furious crushing the box office. This franchise it's crazy because it's exactly what Transformers is, but better, I guess, as in terms of storytelling and I guess quality of a film. Now, that's not to say that I like it, because I honestly, I'm unbiased toward the Fast and the Furious franchise. I'm not a fan, but I don't hate these things. But the box office, you cannot deny this freaking global juggernaut that this thing is. And most of its money is outside markets. It's not even from here, because domestically it did decent, but I think as of right now, Fast 6 made more money than this version did domestically, and it's 8 days or 9 days it's been around. So, on one hand, the people out here in America ain't going in droves like they were, but on the other hand, the rest of the world is eating these things alive. So, Chris, I'm going to start with you. I want to hear your take on this, Furious franchises, mega, stardom. They're huge. They're mega stars. It's insane. So, talk to me, man. What do you think about this franchise, and why is it making the money it makes?
Well, I mean, like you touched on it a little bit. It is comparable to the Transformers in the sense of like the over-the-top action and everything. I think what the difference between this and Transformers, like at least for me, the reason why I like this and I don't, is it what you're getting with. Like it doesn't try to take itself as seriously as the Transformers franchise seems to be trying to take itself. It's like they know that this is over-the-top, ridiculous, action-y crap. Like, you have the one scene in this recent movie where, like, they're driving on the ice and the torpedo is skidding along and the rock is like, take the wheel, and he leans out of the car and pushes the torpedo. It's like, that's ridiculous. It's absurd. It's insane. Most unrealistic thing ever, but you're still like, they know that. Like, the franchise knows that nobody is taking this stuff seriously. This is the epitome of the turn your brain off and just enjoy it popcorn summer film. As for why it's doing as well successfully, I mean, my feeling on that is just because it's kind of like at this point, it's a superhero franchise without actual superheroes. So it's kind of like a fresh take on that. So like you're getting all this over-the-top kind of like superhero-y action, but it's not like that standard kind of superhero formula where you have like the people with the actual superpowers. It's like I remember that one line, I believe, in Fast 5 when they first introduced The Rock's character, or maybe it was Fast 4 when they first introduced The Rock's character. And he kind of has that line where he's like, do not let these people get behind the wheel of a car. And it's like that line kind of pitches us like, if these guys get access to a car, they're unstoppable. They're superheroes. You can't touch them. So like you see this over-the-top ridiculous action without the boundaries that you expect from like superhero movies where it kind of has this certain formula to it. So they just kind of throw all the rules out and you get to just sit back and enjoy yourself and watch these movies. And that's kind of like my personal feeling and why it's been so successful is because people know they could just go there and have fun and escape reality for about 2 hours.
Oh, gotcha. Make a lot of valid points there. I have not seen a Fast and Furious movie since Tokyo Drift, and I didn't even watch all of it. I seen bits of that. So that's how far I'm out of the loop with this franchise. But Matt, let me ask you. The Rock is pushing torpedoes with his bare hands on the ice. And I get, like, Chris, you made a really good point with the superheroes without the tights and capes. That's great. Matt, you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I think. I don't know. I've never actually seen a single one of these movies. I saw the last probably 5 or 10 minutes of Too Fast, Too Furious, like well over 10 years ago. And that was it. And I'm just like, I'm not a car guy. I'm not really a big over-the-top action movie kind of guy. They've just never really appealed to me a lot. But I mean, I don't hate them. I don't have really anything against them. It's just like they're just kind of there. And I don't totally understand the appeal, but at the same time, I kind of do, because it's just like action and big, muscly dudes that are, movie stars. And yeah, I don't know. I do get the superhero comparison, though, because it's a continuous franchise that they're just like, each one progressively gets more and more crazy and over the top. I mean, isn't the first one they were stealing like DVD players or something?
Yeah.
And, now they're fighting the military in like the Arctic.
Exactly. Like, you go from stealing DVDs to like international espionage and shit like this.
Yeah.
Oh man, if Scarface would have been a franchise, at this point, Scarface would have been on the moon.
Exactly.
Oh man. So let me ask you guys though. I mean, this as of
Which
today,
is what actually you touched on it, but it's actually one of the things they talked about. Like, there was a interview with the writers of this most recent one recently where they said, like, yeah, we'd love to take this franchise into space. And I'm so hyped for that. I'm so hyped for, like, Vin Diesel and crew, The Rock and everything, like, in cars in space. Like, somehow they have cars that can travel in space.
the DeLorean. That's the only thing I could see. They got DeLoreans. And, listen, I swear, if that was the case, I would actively like boycott the theaters. I'd go out there and protest. Are you kidding me? Fast and Furious.
See, and that's the thing about this franchise. Is like there's no middle ground. It's either you accept the franchise for what it is and you absolutely love it, or you realize the franchise is what it is and you want nothing to do with it. Like, not so much that you hate it, but you're just like, it's not for me. There's no like, kinda, whatever like that. It's either you love the mindless fun, or you're just like, this is ridiculous and I want no parts of it.
My brother loves these movies. He's a car guy, so the first two appeal to him. Hell, I can't even lie. This kid was big on Tokyo Drift because I think around that time he was playing this game and watching this anime Initial D, and so he was big into it. So he loves that. He always said, "I'll lend you the movies." Yeah, no, it's okay. It's fine. Lend me the Mel Brooks collection. I'd rather that. But let me ask you, this movie right now, as of today, sits at $908 million worldwide in 9 days. Star Wars broke $1 billion. The Force Awakens broke $1 billion in 12 days. We're recording this on Sunday, the 23rd. Chris, do you think in the next 2 days it will generate $100 million and pop Star Wars?
I mean, initially I thought it was possible, but like at this point, if we're to collect another $100 million on a Monday and a Tuesday, when like it's not like a holiday or something like that, I doubt it'll happen.
Right.
I mean, like I said, just following the trends, it looked like it was a possibility, but now I feel like I might have to eat my words a little bit. Like it's probably not going to beat Star Wars 12-day record. Right. But I do feel like by the end of this week, it'll sit above $1 billion. The reason why I was projecting that is because there was no big openings this weekend. There was like not going to be any major movies opening this weekend to compete with it. So it was just like, it was going to be sitting pretty in its second weekend. It was probably going to be the big box office draw for the second weekend in a row, which it probably is still in the number one spot.
Oh, it is. I
haven't looked, but
it is.
Yeah, like I haven't looked, but I have absolute confidence that it is.
And
even without you telling me.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Boss Baby is number 2. It beat Beauty and the Beast.
Like I said, there were no major movies opening this week. Like I saw Free Fire on Friday, and Free Fire was an amazing movie, and you guys should all check it out. It's a fun, like kind of like set in one location shootout kind of like the entire movie is a shootout.
It's a throwback to the '90s. I used to love those shoot 'em up movies,
yes,
man.
it's a fun movie, but like outside of that, there was nothing really major opening this weekend. Right. So like these movies didn't really have any new competition. So that's why I was projecting that that Fate of the Furious might, cross $1 billion this weekend. But I'm probably going to wind up being wrong about that. History is going to show me to be wrong, but it is what it is. It's still going to crack $1 billion before like the month is out. Like,
yeah, Matt. Let me ask you, man. What do you think the appeal is overseas? Because I'm looking at the numbers right here. Domestically, Fate of the Furious sitting as of today. Domestically at $163.6 million. Overseas, it's the highest grossing movie so far this year, beating out Beauty and the Beast, which has been out for over a month, sitting at $744.8 million. That is insane in 8-9 days. Like, what do you think the appeal is, Matt?
I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's probably the combination of the star power that is The Rock.
Oh, yeah.
And just how, like, overly cliche kind of, like, Americanized this movie is. Of just, like, fast cars, hot girls, just, like, the stuff, the cliche you think, like, a foreigner might think of Americans. In a way, or like the kind of how big and bombastic and ostentatious it is. I think that might play a part of it. It's probably why, same reason like Transformers we were talking about last week, it's probably the reason why they make so much money overseas too, is just because they're like that. They kind of just like have that cliche Americanized sort of vibe, if that makes any sense.
No, it definitely does. It definitely does. I'll tell you what. We're going to jump off this, but before we do, Fast and the Furious franchise can easily break $1 billion in 5 days if they share the universe with the Transformers. I'm just saying. Fast cars, hot girls, mindless action. There you go. And that way, you could get them to space.
Like I said, it really kind of has like broadened its scope. I think part of the international thing too is I just realized is just the scope of the movies now, because a lot of the times the movies are set in international locations. Like the last one, they had scenes in Dubai and all that stuff like that. One of them, I might be wrong about it. Was Dubai? It was either Dubai or Abu Dhabi. But like it's just the scope. So like it's also in the sense of like you're seeing all this cool action stuff. Like these international countries are seeing all this cool action stuff happening in their backyard. And also, like, in terms of how big it's gotten in scope, I mean, Charlize Theron was in this latest one.
Yeah.
She plays the villain in this latest one. So you're pulling, it's like the same thing with Marvel now, where it's pulling a lot of, like, these big-name stars want to be a part of this because of how fun the franchise has gotten. So I think that's also a big part of the draw, too, like Matt was saying, the star power. It's like, you're getting people like The Rock, you're getting people like Jason Statham, now Charlize Theron, Kurt Russell is in this franchise.
Yeah.
Like, you're pulling a lot of these big names that people want to see in movies.
Well, listen, after Atomic Blonde, she better not do another one of these movies. She needs to get on Mad Max Fury Road 2. Jumping off of that, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 has been screened for numerous outlets. And the reactions, they've been coming in. And it's kind of been a seesaw. It's kind of been 50-50. So I'm a little shocked by that because I would think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 people would go crazy for, considering across the board Guardians of the Galaxy 1 is beloved. But with these reactions I've seen reactions to, absolutely loved it, to, I don't know. And I was like, wow, that's weird. So let me ask you, start with you, Matt. I know I probably know what you can say, but do you have any type of feelings when you see this seesaw reactions? Because they're not reviews right now. They can't. An embargo gets lifted tomorrow. But do you see like any trouble when you hear things like this?
No, not really. Not to me personally, because I'm such a huge fan of James Gunn. Like, I've loved everything that he's ever done. Slither, Super, Guardians of the Galaxy, his stuff with Trauma back in the day. I loved all of it. So, I have every bit of confidence that this movie will be great. But as for other people, I think, Guardians was a surprise hit. It was, it was Marvel's first really, really big gamble in terms of like totally really unknown characters and stuff like that. And, it was a surprise hit. It was pretty much universally loved. And I think the expectations are so high. It's kind of like how Batman v Superman was, like the hype however good or bad it is, it'll probably never reach that, like, it'll never, like, even out with the hype for it. Not to some people, because I think a lot of people know this is going to be good, and it's, like, they have their expectations realistic of, like, they know what they're going to be getting with this, whereas, for example, BVS is like, we kind of thought we might be getting this, and then we got this thing, but that was several other podcasts ago, so we don't have to dwell on that. But yeah, I just think that, maybe these people had their hypes a little bit too high, but I'm sure it's going to do great. It's going to probably have mostly really good reviews, aside from a few like outliers, but yeah, I have every bit of confidence that this is going to be just as good as the first.
Chris, same question.
Yeah, I mean, Matt pretty much said everything I was going to say. Like, I 100% agree with him. It really comes down to, like, expectations, and I think that's where a lot of, like, the meh kind of stuff is coming from, is because the bar was set so high in terms of what Guardians of the Galaxy 1 did. But the only reason the bar got set that high was because people weren't really expecting much from from Guardians of the Galaxy, because they didn't really know what it was. So when it turned out to be like this really fun, cool thing, everyone fell in love with it, obviously, and now they kind of like, expecting the same thing, and you're not getting the exact same thing in this sequel, because it's not going to be the exact same story. It's not going to hit the exact same beats and everything like that. So I think it comes down to expectations, because it's like the same thing. He brought up Batman versus Superman, which most of us kind of agree was not that fantastic of a movie. But like, when I finally sat down to watch Batman versus Superman, I was expecting it to be bad. But like, after having read all the reviews that it came out, and I sat down and I was like, this movie, while I don't love it, everyone's saying it is. Like, it's not as terrible as the critics are trying to make it out to be. And it was the same thing with Iron Fist. People were like shitting all over that show, and it kind of got me to feel like maybe this isn't going to be that good, and I'm kind of like nervous now. And then I sat down and watched it, and I was like, it's not a great show, but it's definitely not the best of the Defender series right now, but like, it's not really as bad as everyone's saying that it is.
Oh man, listen, I egg my boy and my wife. I egg them all the time. I tell them the Iron Fist was the best Marvel Netflix show. I love that damn show. Well, I'm sorry.
I mean, I kind of disagree with you on that, but like, that's, not going to get too far. But like, I think that's really what it comes down to, is like the expectations get set, and then people watch it, and stuff doesn't really live to the expectations that they had. Like, I understand people were probably going back to that. People were probably upset that they didn't get to see Shao Lao and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. But it really wasn't as bad as everyone was saying that it was. And I feel like we're going to get the same thing with the Guardians of the Galaxy sequels. People were expecting a certain level. They may not have gotten that exact thing of their expectations, so now they're saying, oh, this is not that good a movie as the first one. Which, first of all, sequels rarely ever live up to the first movies, because it's like the younger sibling that, the bar's already set and you're trying to achieve this thing that, like, how am I supposed to do that? Like, the bar's already set too high. But I feel like Matt said, I think it's going to be a really, really enjoyable movie. James Gunn, knows what he's doing with this franchise. I trust him. So I'm walking in, with my expectations tempered, but really just like, I'm expecting to really enjoy this movie.
Yeah, I'm with you both. I'm not worried about a damn thing. And I just wanted to set for the record, I love Iron Fist. I do. It is not the best ball. I just say that to my wife and my boy because they get mad so fast. I really did enjoy Iron Fist a lot, but that is another podcast. We'll talk about that when Defenders come out. as far as Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 goes and the reactions, I mean, I was surprised from, certain people's reactions because in terms of comic book movies, they know their shit and they have the same sense of feelings that I have. They, every time they say, like, everything they say about comic book movies, I tend to agree with. So seeing some reactions from some of them, I was like, wow, okay. But, again, I'm not worried because, like y'all said, and third time's a charm, James Gunn, in my book, does no wrong. He does no wrong. I've loved everything I've seen. I got a glimpse of the Velcro experiment, but I unfortunately couldn't finish fucking watching it. I was mad, but damn, that was such a good ride. And I know he wrote it, didn't direct, but I was having so much fun with that movie. And one of the things about Guardians of the Galaxy 2, when they started dropping the trailers, was there was no story beats. You just automatically assume you're going to see this movie because the first one was so good. I mean, that's how I took it. Like, I didn't need to see the story. I was like, there's Baby Groot. There's a funny-ass scene with him and Rocket. And, yeah, I'm in. Look at the colorful visual effects. I'm in. So, yeah. I'm cool with that. I mean, again, there was just certain reactions. I was like, whoa. Like, it raised my eyebrow because I was like, wow. They didn't like that shit? Wow, all right. But I think, like you said, the bar is set with the first one. And very rarely do sequels get to that bar. But now, sticking with the Guardians of the Galaxy and James Gunn and sequels, they're going forward with Volume 3, and Volume 3 is going to be the jump off of the new Marvel MCU. They're not rebooting anything, but I think they're going to start to reset and get away from this class of Avengers and graduate almost, and they're gonna shape the future of the MCU. So, Chris, what do you think about James Gunn being on the forefront for Phase 4 or whatever they call it? I don't even think they call it Phase 4, but the next wave of Marvel films.
Yeah, I think I heard that too. That Feige said they're done with doing things like in phases or whatever like that. I'm excited for it. It was either going to be him or the Russos. I'm just not sure how involved the Russos necessarily might want to be after this is all, like after Infinity War, because I'm hearing stories about them being attached to like other studios for other projects and stuff like that. But like you said, we touched on with the Guardians of the Galaxy discussion. Like, I have a lot of faith in James Gunn. I think that he's going to bring a lot to the creative direction of the universe and the franchises moving forward. So, yeah, I think it's a smart choice. Like if the Russos tell like really good stories in their films, James Gunn is really good at making his stuff like really fun and comic booky.
Yeah,
which I feel might be showing where Marvel's leaning towards in terms of what direction they want to go after like Infinity War is all said and done. So yeah, I have a lot of faith in it. I'm really excited to see where he takes it.
Matt, what about you? Are we going to see Adam Warlock?
I would hope so. I think at this point, yeah, Volume 3 will probably see him. But yeah, I think that's exciting. It's like, good for him. Like I said before, he's one of my favorite directors. He's just like, I follow him on, social media and stuff, and seen him in interviews and stuff, and he's just really so passionate about these characters. And, it seems like since Guardians isn't as connected with the event, like to the other Marvel movies, he's given a lot more freedom to do the things that he wants to do. And so I think that's probably what's keeping him with Marvel for so long, is they trust him, they trust his direction and judgment, and they let him do pretty much what he wanted in the first one. I assume they're giving him, just as much freedom in the second one. Obviously they had to shoehorn in some Thanos stuff and some Infinity Stone stuff. But I think this is showing that they really, really trust his judgment and trust his ability to take the whole MCU into a new direction. I don't think he's necessarily going to be leading the whole thing, but he's going to be the one to kick it off, which is exciting.
I hear you.
I think that means anything can happen. I mean, I don't think like Infinity Wars is going to just kill the entire roster of the current Avengers, but I think, like you said, there's going to be like a reformation kind of within the universe, and or a graduation, as it were. And yeah, it'll be cool to see his vision being the first step into that new world.
Well, listen, all I know is that there are 5 end credit sequences in Guardians Volume 2. So stay in your seats until those lights come on, people. All right, jumping over that, listen, yesterday was crazy. Fox dropped some news that I was like, oh shit, okay. Setting the X-Men franchise, here we go. They announced the release date for Deadpool 2, which we talked last week about Josh Brolin joining the cast as Cable. Now they're giving it the release date of June 1st. And what's significant about that is June 1st is 1 week after the Han Solo movie comes out. So, Matt, let me ask you, is that a middle finger to Disney? Because, Marvel, like Chris talked about last week, there's kind of like that little hatred there. Is that a middle finger to Disney? And do you think Deadpool 2 has what it takes to knock Han Solo out of first place?
I do think that that's probably a bit of a middle finger, but release dates change all the time. Like, there was a time when Civil War and BVS were supposed to come out on the same day. And obviously that didn't happen. They came out about a month apart. But, so, I don't think it's too set in stone yet. That being said, I'm much more excited for Deadpool 2 than I am for the Han Solo movie. Love Star Wars to death. You all know that. But, I think the movie is very unnecessary. And I think Fox kind of has a feeling like, yeah, this movie, well, it's going to bring in a lot of money. We all know the Han Solo origin story isn't needed for the Star Wars universe. But again, that's a different podcast.
A different podcast. But same question to you, Chris. You think it's a middle finger? And is it going to take out Han Solo?
I don't necessarily see it as a middle, because the beef with Fox and Marvel is Fox and Marvel. I don't think they really necessarily have a thing for Disney specifically. I think they're more targeted towards Marvel. That's where their kind of like animosity lies.
Well, sorry,
from the competition anyway. But I feel like the June release date has a lot more to do with Fox now has a lot more faith in the Deadpool franchise in terms of doing it as a summer release instead of dumping it in like that middle ground area like they did when they released it February last year.
Right.
Like January, February, those late winter months are kind of like dead zone for movies. Like, that's where you put the movies you don't really have a lot of faith in. You're not expecting a huge turnout at the box office. And so Fox greenlit Deadpool not really knowing if it was going to pay off. And that's where they cut the budget so much. They dumped it in like those dead winter months. And then it turned out to be like an absolute juggernaut at the box office. So I think them shifting to a summer release is less about them trying to do obviously it's all about competition with other studios and franchises and stuff like that, but it's less to do with like a direct competition with a specific studio and more like we now know that this franchise can succeed in the blockbuster months. So we're going to give it like more of a summer release date. I do think it'll probably do a bit better than Hans because like Matt said, like people love Star Wars. They loved Rogue One. I'm not sure anyone there's a lot of Han Solo fans, but I'm not sure anyone is really as excited about a Han Solo origin story as Disney might think that they would be. If they were doing a Boba Fett origin story, that people might turn out in droves because there's a lot more love for that character than I feel is warranted.
Right.
But I don't think necessarily a Han Solo origin story is going to do as well as they're hoping. It'll do well because it's Star Wars, but I do think that Deadpool 2 would probably knock it off the number one spot if it opens up a week after.
I agree. I think Deadpool's gonna knock Han Solo off. I agree with both of y'all. I don't need a Han Solo movie. I've been very, very adamant about that. To me, it's a waste, but it's a good force behind him. No pun intended. You got Kasdan coming back to do the script, and then you have Lord and Miller. And so far, those dudes have been kind of nailing it with their films, man. From 21 Jump Street to the Lego Movie, man. I have utmost faith in them. Where they take my favorite space smuggler is anybody else's guess. But Deadpool 2, drop it there. Yeah, I mean, you're right. They dumped it in February. It racked up in February. I'm sorry. I'm actually surprised they did. Well, I guess it's not. I guess it's too soon. But I would have dumped it back in February. I'd have just said, here, it made good money then. Make it again. Nothing else is coming out. Just dump it there. It'll probably, destroy whatever little horror flick comes out around that time, because that's usually when they drop them. But I want to know. I want to see the box office take, because I don't know what else is coming out yet for next year around that time. But that's usually, we're in full swing at that time. At that point, we're in full swing. The summer movie season is here. How is it going to stack up the following week to whatever comes out? It's probably fucking. It's probably gonna be Infinity War or something. So it's just kind of crazy. I don't know when that movie comes out, but that's crazy. But anyhow, also Fox, not to be outdone by Deadpool, and this one is weird for me. They announced that the next X-Men movie will come out next year, and it is The Dark Phoenix. And it's coming out in November of next year. Now, what makes me a little crazy with that is we've only had Jean Grey, this iteration of Jean Grey, in one movie. And now you're going all Dark Phoenix. I don't like that idea. Like, with the first trilogy, she was showing her Phoenix powers in the end of 2. And then 3, The Last Stand, take it how you will. I love that movie. And I'm in the minority. But I enjoyed it. And they did The Dark Phoenix. Yes, they'll probably get it right this time. Even though I didn't think anything was wrong the first time. But I personally feel that it's too soon to do that. Now, are they doing this? Chris, let me ask you. Are they doing this because they're getting older? They want to get them now while they're young? They don't want to wait? What do you think?
I mean, I kind of got the same vibe that you got. I mean, in terms of them setting it up, I do feel that it is kind of soon, but I do feel like in Apocalypse they did kind of do the similar thing that they did with between X-Men 2 and X-Men 3, where like you see her kind of showing off that level of power at the end of one movie transition to this, because like she pretty much dusted Apocalypse.
Yeah.
At the end of the Apocalypse movie, like she showed that level of Phoenix power, like she eviscerated Apocalypse, who is, for most people who follow comics, probably one of the most, if not the most powerful mutant of all time. So they did kind of have that set up where she has that level of power. But yeah, it is kind of soon where they just kind of introduced Sophie Turner as Jean Grey, and now they're gonna push right into her being like Dark Phoenix, like not even just like regular Phoenix for a little while before the powers kind of start overtaking her rational state of mind and she just becomes full-on evil. I think doing just a regular Phoenix movie first and then transitioning into a Dark Phoenix movie might be, a smarter move in terms of like placating the comic book fans. But I can see why the decision was made. You kind of want to get right into it and show all this cool stuff and everything like that. It just does feel kind of soon in terms of we just see this version of Jean Grey and now she's the villain.
Yeah.
So it does seem like they're kind of rushing into that. Right. We'll see, because aside from First Class, which I really dug, I know you said you weren't a big fan of any of the 3 new movies, but I dug First Class. I agree with you on Days of Future Past and Apocalypse, that those really weren't strong X-Men movies. And so it does kind of seem like, especially now with Hugh Jackman stepping off as Wolverine, like that's the major linchpin of the franchise, X-Men I don't know how long it can last in the current iteration. Like, it's going to start dropping fans because it's not really going to be, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but in my opinion, it's really not going to be that strong of a franchise anymore. And I think they kind of know that, and I think that's kind of why they're pushing for this big explosion kind of. Explosion is probably not the right word, but I think you know what I'm getting at. Like this big kind of thing, this gimmicky kind of thing to draw more people in.
It's going to be their version of Infinity War, basically.
Exactly.
Let's reset. Matt, let me ask you. You looking forward to Dark Phoenix, and will the Shi'ar Empire make an appearance?
I'm not really looking forward to it. I don't, like you, I don't care about the X-Men movies. They're dull. They're just flashy for the sake of being flashy. They don't really have any story. They don't really respect the source material or the characters. It's just, I'm not even that big of an X-Men fan of the comics to begin with. But, it's like some of the stuff that they put in these movies is just total slap in the face to both the actors, to the fans, and to the comics. It's ridiculous. I'll see it begrudgingly because it is a superhero thing, but it's going to be terrible. And I think really they're just trying to, milk it until they stop making any money. Apocalypse didn't do that great, and it had terrible reviews from fans and critics alike. But still, we'll start going for it. They're have such a loose continuity too with all the movies, and that it's clearly just a cash grab. They don't actually care about making these things good. They want to put like the hottest stars of today in these movies, get as much money they can from each movie, and then move on to the next one a year and a half later.
Yeah, I think with Deadpool now doing their thing, that's where they're going. That they got the New Mutants slated, which if they're gonna go and continue from what Logan set up, that should be good because there's your new Wolverine. You get young girl who played an amazing Laura X-23. She'll grow up. She'll come into her own, and I think she might be even a theater trained. She, if I'm not mistaken, I think I read that. But you have that, and then the inevitable X-Force.
Her parents are in the industry, so she's been around that for a while.
Okay, there you go. And then you have the inevitable X-Force, which I think is going to be the new X franchise. I think Dark Phoenix, like you said, Matt, and Chris, it's going to come to an end here. The X-Men franchise, as we know it, is gone and gives way to X-Force. The problem I see with that, though, is the X-Force movies I want are I want the X-Force from, I don't mean the Inception with the Rob Liefeld, and I want the one that came out about, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, in between 10 years, where they all had the black suits, and they were the covert ops team. They were the team that did all the dirty work. And it was just, I was like, wow. It was just vicious. It was basically Cyclops telling Wolverine, get a team together and do the shit we can't do. You know what I'm saying? That's the X-Force I want. But with jokey Deadpool, I don't think it's going to happen. But, yeah, that's pretty much where I stand with the X franchise.
I think this is pretty much what's going to, this whole rivalry that they have going on with Marvel is what's ultimately going to be damaging for Fox in the long term, because X-Men was really the only franchise they had in terms of their comic book properties that they could actually draw profit from, because they botched Fantastic Four
twice,
several times.
Yeah.
So X-Men was really all they could draw. It was the only thing they were getting semi-right in terms of, like Matt said, they weren't really getting it right in terms of being faithful to the source material and all that stuff and everything. But in terms of box office appeal, it was the only thing they were getting semi-right. And now they're making choices where people are kind of starting to turn on them. And the main thing that was drawing people in was Wolverine, and he's gone.
Well, I think they tried to retcon that with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, so I feel like this franchise is going to start dropping, and it's exciting to me in a sense of where like Fox might actually have to start seriously considering doing the same deal that Sony had with Marvel, if they want these franchises to continue to be successful. Because the only thing that's really going to boost that profile is for fans to see these characters start showing up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. If Fox doesn't do that, then they're just going to get to the point where they're only going to be making the movies to retain the rights.
Yeah.
And you're not going to see a profit then, because you're just churning them out to make the movie so you can keep the rights, and nobody's going to want to see them because it's going to be crappy movies again.
Yeah, I miss the good old days when you could get an X-Men cartoon on TV, like Wolverine and the X-Men. That was such a great fucking show. And then this whole fiasco with Marvel and Fox happened, and there you go. Now we got Ultimate Spider-Man. Thanks, Fox, Sony, sons of bitches. Anyhow, listen. All right, so outside of the realm of comic books and superheroes, well, I'm lying. Inside the realm, because this week a trailer dropped for a television show that had many fans excited. I didn't get a chance to see this full-fledged trailer. It got pulled about an hour after it hit the webs, and that's the Krypton teaser trailer. Now, I did see one, thanks to Matt. He sent me a link, but this was just a legit teaser. A teaser that really worked. If you knew Superman lore, you've seen a couple of things. Like, I saw the Bottle City of Kandor floating amongst the debris. I thought that was amazing. But Sci-Fi is doing the show Krypton. And, I mean, Sci-Fi has been picking up, as of late, their shows have been solid. You know, remember, but 5 years ago, Sci-Fi was movies worse than Sharknado. It was just like corny, made-for-TV slapstick. And all of a sudden, they started to change. And I'm actually shocked they have a property from DC, something like Krypton, on their channel. So I'm intrigued. I wish I would have seen the full fleshed out one. My man Chris did, so I'm going to ask him first. What was your feelings to it? Because Matt and myself, we didn't get to see that version. We only saw the 1 minute teaser that just showed Krypton's debris field and then come back together to form the planet. What did you see? Were you interested? Were you like, okay, this got my attention, or not?
Absolutely got my attention. What was surprising for me, because as you mentioned, Sci-Fi hasn't exactly been known for its strong, storytelling, having strong TV shows and stuff like that. So what really caught me off guard was how good the special effects were. Like, it really seems like a real budget was put into this series, whereas opposed to like most of the stuff you see on Sci-Fi have effects that look like someone did it in MS Paint in 1995. Like, they're not exactly known for like having great special effects. So it really did kind of like, I was like, wow, this is Sci-Fi? This is a show that's going to be on Sci-Fi? Really? So like, it did kind of intrigue me in that sense. I mean, I know a lot of people, I've been reading the buzz on the web and everything, that a lot of people are giving the same kind of thing that like we were saying about the Han Solo thing. Like, do we really need to see this story set on Krypton before Superman? Like, because it's basically 2 generations before Superman. It's I believe this is supposed to be Kal-El's grandfather.
Right.
And so a lot of people have been given that, but I am really intrigued to see, like, when they first announced the idea of doing a prequel series set on Krypton, my hope for it was like this kind of Game of Thrones style set, like 2,000 years ahead, where like you're seeing the rise of the houses and like all this political intrigue and how that world developed. That's what I was kind of hoping for. It doesn't seem like we're getting that as much. It does seem from what I saw in the trailer that this is the grandfather kind of reestablishing the House of L. Ooh. So you are kind of getting something similar to that, where he's like rebuilding the glory of the House of L and kind of like, making them a major name on Krypton again. But it's not going to be like, I don't feel I'm going to get like the same level of intrigue that I was hoping for, like, that Game of Thrones style, like back and forth, people playing pawn games and stuff like that. It'll still be interesting, and I'm very excited to see what they do with it, and see kind of how like we get to that point where like the House of L is like the main voice of reason on Krypton.
I hear ya. My only concern with this show is I don't want them to start going too much into the planet's unstable, because again, like you said, it's 2 generations before Superman.
And it does from the trailer that I saw, it does kind of like hint at that, like they're aware that something's not quite right with the planet.
Okay. Well, you pretty much took everything out of my head. I was thinking the same thing along the lines of Game of Thrones. So you said what I was going to. Matt, you showed me the teaser. We saw the same one. We didn't get to see what Chris saw, but what we saw, and being that we both know our Kryptonian history, what did you think of this little teaser trailer? How did you feel?
It looks, from that teaser trailer, it looks way better than I was expecting. I did not have high hopes for the show. Honestly, for the longest time, I thought I was dead in the water. And yeah, I'll give it a fair shot.
Perfect.
But on the other hand, Gotham also looked good in the beginning, and I fucking hate Gotham.
You ain't alone. You are not alone.
But yeah, I'll give it a fair shot. I heard somewhere a long time ago when the show first got announced or just was beginning development that they wanted it to be in canon with the current DCEU stuff. I don't know how true that is anymore, and honestly, it really wouldn't even matter since it's set 2 generations behind. And yeah, I feel like it. Even if that was true, it doesn't actually affect anything.
Right.
And but one little thing that does kind of worry me about the show is David S. Goyer's name attached to it, and I'm not really a fan of his. He's done some good stuff, but he seems to be like a kind of pseudo comic book guy. Like, he's read like the main big ones, Dark Knight Returns and The Killing Joke and stuff like that, and that's him being like a casual comic book fan has gotten him farther than I think it should have in Hollywood, given that he has his name attached to almost every comic book or every DC thing for like 10 years now, and he did the Blade movies. I still like the Blade trilogy. I even like the third one.
Me too.
Some parts of it. But he said some very disparaging things about fans of Martian Manhunter and She-Hulk that I was like, fuck this guy.
Oh, man.
So, I don't... You could probably look those up. They're not really... Some of it is actually pretty, like, shitty, and, like, it's like, now I have zero respect for you as a person, because you're, like, just shitting all over your audience, basically. So I'm kind of like, fuck this guy now.
Exactly. I think David Goyer has kind of been living off of the success he's achieved, built on the backs of, like, other people who are better at this stuff than he does. Like, he's living a lot off of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think a lot of that success is because, like, Chris Nolan was there to kind of temper the stuff that he tries to do with his stories and everything. So I don't think he's really as strong a writer as everyone makes him out to be. I think he's good when he has people there to, like, say, no, that's not really necessarily such a good idea. Let's kind of pull it back a little bit or whatever like that. I think on his own, like, doing things on his own terms, you get stuff like Blade 3, which, I can understand why people enjoy it, but was definitely, like, the worst of the 3 Blade movies.
Definitely.
And, like, you get stuff like you see with Man of Steel, which could have, again, not terrible, but could have been better, and then Batman versus Superman and all that.
Well, that was just terrible. I'll tell you what, Zach Penn is a better superhero screenwriter than Goya is. I like Goya, I do. But I think Zach Penn, he knows what he's doing. As far as Krypton goes, on Sci-Fi, I'm looking forward to it. That teaser trailer really got me intrigued. And I just don't hope... I hope it does not turn out to be Oz and Flash Gordon, because that really hurt me. Oh, damn you, Sci-Fi, damn you. But all right, we get off that superhero kick, and I do agree. Gotham sucks. I hate that damn show. So fuck that new trailer. We're not even going to talk about it.
I'm surprised at how many people I know that are into comic book stuff love Gotham. Like,
I don't
people
get
tell me, "Oh, it's such a good show." I'm like, "No, it's not."
I'll tell you, we could ramble on for hours about that. I hate that show so much. But we're not going. We're not even going to go there. I want to get to these two things before we wrap up. First thing is, this week it was a rumor going around saying that Will Smith was rumored to be in talks to play the genie in the live-action Aladdin movie. How that's funny because that's not a name I would have thought of off the top of my head. But when I saw that report, and I was like, wow, you know what? Yes, because he can go. A lot of people, I'm not sure of my age here, but yo, he was kind of like the genie back in the day on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He has that. So he could totally go there. And I think Will Smith in the role of Genie, although he's not going to be Robin Williams and nobody will, I think he
can.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he could. I think he would bring such a great take to that character. So I'm totally on board with this. If this rumor turns out, it plays out, it comes to pass. If they cast Will Smith as the genie, I'm fucking with it. Matt, what about you? You seen this report? What did you think about it?
He wouldn't be my first choice, but I can totally see it, and I have no qualms with it, really.
Who would be
first? Because Will Smith is kind of, historically in his movies like a quip machine, and that's exactly what the genie is. And so I do see it as perfect. I think there's probably someone out there better, but if that's the case, so be it. They'll do a good job.
Who would be your first choice?
I don't know. I really don't know. But put a gun to my head and tell me to pick right now. Well, let me preface this by saying the Aladdin I would make is not the Aladdin Disney would make. So I would probably cast someone like Louis C.K. as the genie.
Jesus Christ.
That's one of the names that came into my head when I was thinking about it too. And I was like, but you know what? If you did that, this is a really dark Aladdin movie. Yeah. CK is the genie.
This guy's my Return of the Jafar. Jesus Christ, let the movie live on its own. Fuck. Chris, man, you seen this? What was your thoughts initially? Oh shit, Will Smith. And who would you cast to replace Robin Williams?
Well, I mean, for me, I wouldn't look at it in terms of replacing Robin Williams because you're never going to do that.
Right.
You're never going to get a replacement for Robin Williams. Initially, I was kind of put off by it when I saw the name. And it's like, nah. But then I started thinking about it. Like you said, you drew the comparisons to Fresh Prince and everything like that. And I started realizing, Will Smith does bring a certain level of irreverence to his roles that, is perfectly in line with what we saw in the Genie in the original Aladdin cartoon. Matt mentioned that he's constantly making quips and stuff like that, which is exactly what you got from the Genie. I also read an interesting thing that, initially they were looking at Kevin Hart before they even went to Will Smith.
Wow.
Which, right off the top of my head, I was like, no, I'm glad at that point, I was like, I'm definitely glad they went to Will Smith then because Kevin Hart, I do appreciate his style of comedy, but I don't think it's right for, Genie and all that.
Absolutely.
I do feel like this is just me getting ahead of things and everything. I do feel like if they go with Will Smith and if they're serious about it and everything like that, you're probably going to get a little bit, tiny bit of backlash from certain people on the internet because we're like, oh, why can't you cast an Arab comedian? It's supposed to be taking place in Arab, countries and back in the... So I feel like there's going to be a certain level of that going on, so then I started trying to think of maybe, are there any Arab comedians I could think of off the top of my head that could do it? Really, no, but that's just because there aren't really a lot in the forefront in the American pop culture right now.
I can think of one, but he's not upper echelon Will Smith level. He's more on par with Chris Hardwick.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I started trying to think of. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. So I mean, he's known to comedy fans. His name is Camille Nanjiani, and he's got a couple shows, and he's a big.
Oh, that's from Silicon Valley, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yeah. His style of delivery wouldn't necessarily, I don't think.
No,
I agree, but that's an example of a Middle Eastern comedian.
Yeah, so I tried to think of that, and I was like, they're probably really, you're gonna kind of want to go for a little bit of name recognition on this, so you're probably not gonna get a lot of big Middle Eastern comedians who are gonna be big box office draws like that. One of the other names that I considered too was just because of the comparison his character in Moana got to the genie was The Rock. I think The Rock would bring a lot of like exuberance and boisterousness to the role and everything like that. So I think that, but I just think because he did Moana, it would just be too much to also bring him in as the genie. Like I think a lot of people would say like, we've already seen him play a genie-esque kind of character. Let's leave that alone and bring in somebody new. So I think right now, like Will Smith is, a good choice. Off the top of my head, like Matt said, gun to my head, I probably couldn't think of somebody really like better in terms of what Disney would want to do with the character. But I'm sure if like other names started popping up, I'll probably, oh yeah, I can see that, or I don't really see that, like that kind of thing.
I got you. The Rock was the first thing that came to my head before this news dropped. I was like, who would? Because I actually had this as a topic question like 3 weeks ago. Like, who would you cast to play the genie in a live action Aladdin movie? And I was because Moana is The Rock was just spot on, and I think he would have brought a certain level of just this dude is nonstop. He is a firecracker every time he's on. So I was like, hang on a second. He's like a firecracker. He just his levels are through the roof, and that's what the genie was always to me. Robin Williams just destroyed that role, and I felt like you needed somebody that can get to that level, and The Rock was the only person I thought of. But then when this news dropped, Will Smith, like I said, I was like, wow, hell yeah, I could totally fucking see Will Smith doing that because I believe he could get there. He could. Maybe not as boisterous as The Rock, but
yeah, there's a lot of comedians that could do like really great line delivery and have really great sense of comedic timing and everything like that. That I think would do passable genies for a different direction. But if you're gonna try and go for that hyper excited style that Robin Williams brought to the role, then you need someone who could bring that to it. And I think The Rock would do it. I think Will Smith would do it. And I can't really think of too many other comedians that just have like that sense of hyper time.
Well, I think actually, you know what? Now that I think about this, now I want this to happen. Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey could probably pull it off as well.
Jim Carrey. I think Jim Carrey would be absolutely perfect fit for the genie. And yeah,
he's like one of those people that's like all over the place, like Robin Williams was too.
Exactly. And speaking of Carrie, let's talk about this last topic of the day. Last week at the end of Star Wars Celebration, we were told that Carrie Fisher will not appear in Episode 9. But there was never mention of Princess Leia in Episode 9. There was never said Princess Leia won't be in Episode 9, just Carrie Fisher. Very interesting there. So, Chris, what do you think of that news? Will Princess Leia be in Episode 9?
I feel like Disney's going to do the right thing and be respectful and not like try to shoehorn her into the movie using like, previously shot footage and then like CGing her face onto somebody else's. Like, I feel like they're going to do the right thing by the family and by the fans and not kind of like try to force her into the story. They'll probably find a way between 8 and 9 to kind of like move her character to the side and, it's because you're left with two bad choices. Either you have the thing of like you have an off-screen death, which is usually kind of like, a lot of fans be like, oh, that's bullshit. But then the other option is like you force her into the movie by having some other actor stand in and then you CG her face in. And that's also kind of disrespectful to her personally. I don't think she would have minded. If she was still alive, she'd probably be like, yeah, fine, do that. But I think like in terms of like just respecting the story and respecting the fans, it would kind of be a slap in the face. So I think Disney's going to do the right thing and kind of like, we'll find a way to work her out of the story and like have like maybe mention the name. Like you said, like they can mention the name Leia and like, have her doing stuff off to the side that never actually see her. But I don't think they're going to actually like try to find a way to visually represent her in the movie.
That's funny because I actually find that more disrespectful. You didn't bring up the prospect of a recast because I'm all for recasting the role if it fits the story because it seems like she has such a major part in Episode 8 that I don't think if it's that big they're gonna tie anything up here in this movie. So I would expect to see Princess Leia return in episode 9. I don't want to see the CG thing. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they've been very adamant. They pretty much put the stamp on that. Case closed. They're not going to do the CG thing. But again, they never not said they wouldn't recast. So I find that very interesting because, yes, we all grew up with Princess Leia. We all know what Carrie Fisher looked like. And we all have that image seared into our brain. But what if they found someone who respects the role and Carrie Fisher enough to give a great performance, and instead of looking at Carrie Fisher, we look at Princess Leia, because at the end of the day, that's what this is about. You know? We see Princess Leia, and I think there's actresses out there that can just... they'll disappear into the role and be Princess Leia. That's... Me personally, I don't want to see no off-screen death or... Oh, she made a run to wherever. She's doing the Kessel Run. I don't. If the story calls for it, she should be there. And I definitely don't want to see her get killed off because, oh, there's Princess Leia's flagship. Boom! I would be pissed. So, me personally, I'm all for recasting. Don't know who. It's not like the Genie thing, because there's a certain presence that whoever portrays this character, if they recast, has to bring. Matt, what about you?
I also have I more agree with Chris than I do you. I think Disney will do the right thing and find a fitting end for her character. I think no matter, it's such a tricky thing, because no matter what you do, it's going to upset somebody. It's going to upset a lot of people, no matter what ends up happening. But I think, like you and I have talked about before, have episode 9 open up with her funeral. She died before the movie begins, but, we open up with a funeral of her, or celebration of Princess Leia, and then take the story from there. Because I do agree that that her story won't be wrapped up in 8. But I think it would just upset too many people to recast the role without, and doing the CG thing would definitely upset people, and killing her off screen would upset people. But I think, opening up with her funeral, acknowledging that the character is dead, that Carrie Fisher is gone, and moving on from there, I think that's the best way to do it. But I also have, there's probably an entire team of people right now discussing how they can make this work in the most respectful and least offensive way possible. So I think no matter what happens, I like that Disney has put their foot down and said, we're not going to do the CG thing. I think whatever ends up happening will be good.
Well,
for whatever was best.
You bring up a good point. You bring up a point that I want you to touch upon. You said to open up with a funeral procession or a celebration in her honor. I like that idea, I do. But as fans, we are fans of this, right? We love Star Wars. The opening crawl won't be enough for us and the general public. The people who aren't major fans, people like, let's say, my parents, for instance, they'll go see all the movies. But if you kill Princess Leia off screen, and you put it in a book or a comic, they're not going to pick that up, They're not going to read. They're not going to do that. And a lot of people won't. The fans will. But I think that's it's a good idea, but I think that's kind of disrespectful too. You know what? At the end of the day, the situation is fucked. It's football off the top, because now you have to scramble. And like you said, Matt, there's probably 20 people right now in the room trying to figure out what the hell are we going to do. But Chris, let me ask you, what do you think of Matt's idea? Having opening episode 9 with a procession or something in honor of Princess Leia. Do you think that works? And how would that work for the general population, the general movie-going audience that aren't the rabid fans that we are.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, and like Matt's been saying, you've been saying, like, we all kind of agree this is a situation where there really are no good options. So it's really about choosing the least of all evils in the situation. Like, you know, what's the best way we can do this? Because like Matt said, at some point, regardless of what they do, somebody's going to be offended or like upset with the choice they make. So it's about making the choice that upsets the least amount of people. I kind of like the idea of doing the funeral procession in the opening thing, because it's like, it's not just a good tribute to the character, it's also a really great tribute to Carrie Fisher herself.
Right.
You know, like, I get what you're saying about the idea of recasting, but it's not, for me, Leia is not like one of those characters like Batman or, you know, James Bond, where you could reboot the franchise to introduce a new person playing this role. Like, this is the same people existing in the same universe and everything. Or like, it's not like, you know, when they replaced Terrence Howard with Don Cheadle, where like that character isn't necessarily as iconic, so it doesn't really matter that you went and snuck in a new act. Like, for everyone who was a fan of Star Wars, Carrie Fisher is Leia. That's it. You can't, you know, maybe throw Meryl Streep in there or something like that and like, oh, you know, she does a good job as Leia. You know, it's not quite Carrie Fisher, but it's Carrie Fisher is Leia, which I want to call you guys out at this point and push up my take frame glasses. It's General Leia.
Well, pardon moi.
Let's get that clear. It's General Leia now.
She always be my princess. Shut up.
But yeah, so I do feel like kind of doing the funeral procession where like they kind of like, it's in the opening crawls, they say like there was a battle or like something happened, or it was just her time, like, and she went and joined her father and everything in the Force. Like, it's not the best, it's not a great option, but I think out of the three possibilities that you have is either recasting, doing the CG thing, or having an off-screen death. I think that really is like the best of the three.
Well, let me tell y'all something. I got to be honest with you right now. You sold me. Matt, you sold me. I like this idea a lot more now. I can see that. And you're right. I think it is the lesser of all the evils. And it is paying tribute. That's why I did like the idea Matt put forth. I did like the idea. I still wrestle with I don't mind the recasting thing. But the way now it's all coming together, the crawl text is the most important thing. If that is done right, let's say whatever happens at the end of episode 8, because I don't want to see her die. I mean, let me rephrase this. I don't want her death to be like Han Solo's death or her getting destroyed. I would rather her go peacefully in the night, in her sleep.
Exactly.
But it would be great, like, if they did that, a mother's broken heart. You start the crawl with, like, tragedy befalls the Republic. And, you know, after whatever events take place or whatever they want to do, General Leia has peacefully passed away. Something like that. If they do that and then Matt, you know, they open up with the funeral procession or the celebration, I would be totally on board. I would totally buy that, and I would totally have a box of Kleenex there because I will be weepy. So yeah, yo, Matt, good idea, brother. Yeah, I can't.
I think part of this is going to come down to 8. The way they choose to end 8 is going to set the tone going into 9, like how they're going to deal with the Carrie Fisher Leia situation.
I just don't want her to be struck down. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
We got it with Han.
No, I agree with you on that. I'd rather it be like, you know, we find out it was like a peaceful thing, like, you know, she just, it's like, you know, I've done my part, and now I'm going to allow myself to rejoin my family in the Force or whatever.
Yeah. But, you know, a mother's broken heart. I mean,
Exactly.
I'm on board with that. So, man, y'all, you got me. I can't believe, Matt, you got me to change my mind. I don't do that shit ever. You know it. But, no, listen, man, thank y'all guys for joining. We're going to wrap it up here, man. That was perfect. I do want to say one thing. Last week, when we were talking about the Thor trailer, I said that was like my third anticipated movie. I lied. I listened to that podcast again. That was my second most anticipated movie after Star Wars. So, bam! There you go. G1 all over.
One last thing I want to mention. I did tell you before, like we did the podcast, I wanted to throw this out there at some point. If anyone out there is listening, go see Colossal.
Oh yeah.
Like we didn't really have time to like really go in depth or whatever like that, but like Colossal is an amazing movie. When it hits its wide release, you should definitely go see it, because it's one of those movies that isn't really necessarily what's pitched in the trailer, but in a good way. I know a lot of movies they'll do something in the trailer and you go in expecting one kind of movie and you're like, oh, I didn't get that, and it's bad. No, this is the kind of movie where like it's not exactly what's sold in the trailer, but in like such a good way. Like where the whole kaiju thing is kind of like a way for them to explore human relationships, and it's such an amazing story with like fantastic acting from Hathaway, really fantastic acting from Sudeikis, Jason Sudeikis, where it's like, you know, I know he has another movie coming out later this year that's going to be like more drama heavy than comedy, and if people know him more for comedy, I think Colossal is going to give you a taste of what he can do in terms of dramatic stuff. And I went to go see this movie the other night. You know, I cashed in some of my free points from my Regal Crown Club, and I walked out of there saying if I had paid for this movie, I would not have been mad at all. I might go pay to see it again. It's a really fantastic movie. It's really great in terms of like doing something new and original with like, you know, already established tropes. And if you guys get a chance to see it, it's so worth it.
Look at that. Simani tells you like it is. I'm looking forward to that wide release, because there's one theater playing it over here, but the times are all off, so I can't go see it. So when it's released wide, I'm going to see it. Yeah. Good shit there. Thanks, bro.
No problem.
And that will be it. We are out of here. Go check out Colossal when it hits the big screen in the wide release. Thank you for hanging out with us. Chris, thank you for hanging out.
No problem. It was a pleasure.
Matt, thank you for hanging out. Or geeking out, I should say. Thank you for geeking out.
Of course.
And
once again, happy birthday.
Yes, sir.
Happy birthday. Thank you.
And thank you guys for hanging out with us. This is the Geek Out. We're out. Peace.